Hi, welcome to this explanatory movie about how to formulate a design challenge and then ideate about the what, who, how of your business case. Let me introduce myself before I start going into depth on the content. My name is Sanne Mylonas and I'm partner of Nooderwind. Nooderwind is an innovation agency which is based in the Netherlands, and it helps starting entrepreneurs as well as companies that already exist and governmental organizations in their transition to a more sustainable business case. So how do we do this? By using startup tools to ideate and create from an idea an impactful business case. So today we're going to focus on the design challenge, which is actually the why of a company, and then on the what, who, how of that certain company, which is a combination of your target group, your value proposition, and your revenue stream. So all companies, whether you are existing or whether you're new, go through the innovation lifecycle. The innovation lifecycle is based on three phases: the listen, the building, and the doing business. In the listen phase, you are still exploring your options when it comes to your value and to the target market. Actually, the whole combination of the what, who, how. The building is the follow-up phase, which contains of the first steps that you do to set up your business. And then you go to actually doing business. In all three phases, you have several questions and assumptions to test, and it all starts with formulating a design challenge. As I said before, a design challenge is actually the why of your company. It all focuses around the problem or the issue that you want to solve. So it starts with a how might we, and then your sentence grows. When you formulate your design challenge, you need to think about the ultimate impact that you want to create. And you need to also make sure that it's not too narrow so that you can still ideate on possible solutions. So in formulating your design challenge, you need to take into account the context and the constraints that you're working with, because it's about your business and what you want to solve. So these elements are very essential. So let me give you an example. Imagine that you have a company that wants to help homeless people of Amsterdam. What you can then formulate as a design challenge is: how can we create a humanly way of serving soup to homeless people of Amsterdam? As you can see, this question contains three items, both a what, a who, and a how. So the what is serving soup, the who is homeless people of Amsterdam, and the how is a humanly way of serving. So what do you think? Is this too broad or too narrow? Well, too broad it certainly is not, because it limits the location. It's only about Amsterdam. It limits the population because it's about homeless people. And it tells you what you want to serve, namely soup. So you can create several solutions of solving this question. But do you think maybe it's a little bit too narrow? What is a too narrow design challenge? A too narrow design challenge is a challenge that limits your opportunities to ideate. So when you find out that you can only come up with 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 solutions, that's quite limiting. So that means that the design challenge is too narrow. But if you find out that you can actually come up with 10, maybe 20 possible solutions when you ideate, it means that your design challenge is formulated in a good way. Another thing to consider is when you create a design challenge, to see if which of the what, the who, and the how is flexible. So can you, when you do business in Amsterdam, would you change homeless people of Amsterdam to homeless people in general or not? Maybe as a starting point, it's not a good idea to come up with several solutions outside of Amsterdam because your base is there and it creates a better success when you start doing business in the place where you have your network and your knowledge. One of the things that you could, however, make flexible is serving the soup. What you could do is say like, okay, do I want to focus on soup or not? If your business is all about cooking soup, then it would be a wrong decision or not a wise decision to make the soup flexible, because actually then your core business changes from serving soup to maybe serving sandwiches. And when you are focused on homeless people, it's a bit strange to then change homeless people into the general public of Amsterdam. So all of these decisions are very much focused on what it is that you do with your business case. So whether the what should be flexible, the who should be flexible, or the how should be flexible really depends on your core business and what it is that you want to focus on. So here are some tips on formulating a good design challenge. And as I said before, try not to put in fixed what, who, and hows in one design challenge, because then you lose the flexibility to ideate. If you have difficulties defining what your ultimate impact is, so defining what your why is, then a good exercise actually is to write down headlines of a news article which describes your projects in 5 years. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's always the tacky question that you get on a job interview, but in this case it does indeed work when you need to think about what is the ultimate impact that I want to create, what is my why. So a lot of the times businesses already start with a solution. So you have an amazing product or you have an amazing technology that you want to bring on the market, but you have not necessarily defined the problem that your potential buyers have. So this is not a bad thing. What you then do is that you write down the solution that you have and try and formulate a design challenge that fit all of the solutions that you have in mind. But what you should not do is then only focus on the solutions that you already have up front. So what you do is you write down a design challenge that gives you the opportunity to focus on the solutions that you have, but also gives you the opportunity to still think about other potential solutions that you can create. And the last tip that is written down on this sheet actually comes back to the flexibility of the content of your sentence. If you find out that after a while of ideating you cannot come up with enough solutions, or you're really going far out of your initial business case idea, then pivoting and adapting your design challenge is really not a problem. It's a flexible starting point which is used to ideate, but it's not set in stone, so you can still work and adapt on it. So like I said before, the design challenge can be formulated in all of the 3 phases of doing business. So as in the listen phase, the build phase, and the doing business phase. So it doesn't matter in which phase your company is at the moment. If you are a starter, then you're in your listen phase and you can focus around the listening part of your company. If you already have done your research on your market and your potential value, then you start ideating on the building phase, and so on and so on. Because there are many different questions that need to be answered throughout all phases. And here you can see a couple of them to see how you can formulate a design challenge that will help you answer these questions. So now it's up to you. Formulate your design challenge and see, is it too narrow? Is it too broad? Or can I actually ideate on this? The next step that we're going to take is focusing on the what, who, how. This will be done in the next explanatory movie. So thank you for your attention and good luck with formulating your design challenge.